Electricast.
Whether you're a diehard sports fan, a hopeless romantic, or a comedy aficionado, the Xfinity 10G network was made for streaming it all. Worry less about buffering when streaming your favorite shows, movies, or live sports, and enjoy a better way to watch. Xfinity gives you a reliable connection for streaming, plus all the entertainment you love all in one place. Fear not, because now you can finally sit back, relax, and stream your favorite entertainment and sports like never before with the Xfinity 10G network.
Why wait to see if you'll get something you like this Valentine's Day when you can go to BlueNile.com and find something you'll love? Whether you're looking to treat yourself to a little winter sparkle or show a galentine how much you appreciate them, Blue Nile offers a wide selection of high-quality designs, expert guidance, and free 30-day returns for the ultimate peace of mind. You can even design your own jewelry. Right now, save up to 50% at BlueNile.com. That's BlueNile.com.
Missing the point. Missing the point. Power rankings. We're doing it. I'm back. I took a week off, just to collect myself because of the Chicago Bears season.
Don't blame me, man.
But obviously that's going as badly as it could be.
Yeah, Mike thought you were going to be mad at me, and you tried to be mad at me for a few minutes about
I didn't. I'm not mad at you. I don't think that you're saying is unfair. It's impossible to defend the Chicago Bears. They're the most embarrassing team I think I've ever seen. Not like just this season, especially with like how high the hopes got.
I was just trying to channel my inner Bear disappointment. Man, it's so disappointing. It really is.
No, it's incredibly disappointing, and I think that this is obviously not relevant to the power rankings, and I don't think the Bears will be relevant to the power rankings this season. But I'm trying to convince myself that it's play calling and coaching, but I've already done that with one coaching staff. I don't think Eberflus is the best coach in the world, and I think his adjustments show that. But there is just this worry that the overwhelming consensus seems to be that Fields is not going to be able to operate inside a system, and essentially what the realization that's dawned on me is if you look at every single one of his highlights from last season, and I'm not saying I'm selling my stock, I still do think he's really talented if he can get his shit together. I think he's got a great arm. I've seen him be really good on the deep ball. I've seen him be really good on his feet, obviously. But if you look at every single one of his highlights last season, they're all from broken plays. Every single one is from a broken play. So you can't really win with a quarterback who's dependent on the play you design failing.
Completely right. Yeah.
So I don't know.
I don't know the key to success.
I don't know. I don't know what to do about that. And he's obviously never been great in press conferences either. And it's dude, you can't believe you can't say coaching. You just can't do that. It just shows divisions and splits within the organization, and it's completely antithetical to the lines that everybody was putting out. We're all rowing the same way, and I really do think our roster is better than it was last year. And I don't think that I don't think that my excitement for the Bears season was completely unfounded, based in nothing, or delusion, some of our trolls like to tell us on Instagram, and you like to agree with. I think it was based on informed things. I thought the linebackers we signed were really, really smart. I thought, bringing DJ Moore in was great. I thought we had a great running core. And I thought Justin Fields, most importantly, was going to take a step up this season. And he's regressed. So that's enough Bears talk.
Yeah. To leave off, we get it out of the way.
I know. We're playing the second most embarrassing franchise in the NFL this coming Sunday. We're playing the Denver Broncos. Fucking Sean Payton, just so embarrassing. How can you talk that? That was more than any coaching hire has ever talked. And it's almost equivalent to the amount of hype that Russ got when they traded the farm for him, or basically mortgaged their future for him. And it's you guys really need to operate in silence. The Denver Broncos need to learn to operate in silence, because as much as embarrassing as the Bears are, at least all their PR stuff that's come out is very normal PR stuff, preseason PR stuff. Yeah, we're going to do great this season. We're, we're really excited. Well, we're here in training camp, all rowing in the same direction. Fucking Sean Payton was like, last year's coaching staff was fucking trash. Wait until the second coming arrives. I'm here to fucking change the game of football. And then he got blown out, and Mike McDaniel mercy killed him at the fucking end by not kicking a fucking field goal. And I would just like to say, I'm kicking that field goal 1,000 times out of 1,000 times. Mike McDaniel is a better man than me. He is a better fucking man than me. 73 all day. And I liked what Shannon Sharp had to say about it. By the way, have you followed? We don't make a point of talking about other talking heads here on this program, especially ones with billion times larger platforms than we have. But have you been following the whole Shannon Sharp like offseason saga? Skip Bayless and him falling out. He was gonna murder Skip Bayless. Like he really was, I think, about to fucking like actually attack him on set. I really like him and Stephen A. To be honest, like I actually kind of like their energy together. And what he had to say about the Denver Broncos, I think, was very apt. He was like, I'm doing you a favor by fucking setting that record. Like, I'm letting you know that we served you up a fucking 50 piece with 20 pieces for free, 20 more flats for free. It's like, we're letting you know how fucking bad you are because you got to go like improve. I don't think that message was lost on them personally, but we'll talk about that more when we get to the Miami Dolphins, which, spoiler alert, might take a while since we started 10 here on the power rankings. The nice thing about this week, if you remember, Bob, last year we had a lot of weeks into the season where we still had to talk about a lot of enigma teams. I think that this season there's a lot less parity. I think that we're really seeing who's good and who's not.
Oh yeah, bro. I want to say I was going through the power rankings, right? From 6 down is just garbage football. I mean, all right, that's a little harsh. From 7 down is really just garbage football. That like, there's no one that's really good beyond that top 6. It's like 6, and then
we'll talk about that because I am still actually quite high on the Lions. I actually do enjoy what the Lions are putting together. I think we'll talk about them, but the overall theme of this, I think, year is like the teams who suck and the teams who don't. There's maybe a shout for the Bengals. Typical late season, like, oh shit, no, never mind, they're really good. Especially watching them against who the fuck they played, the Rams in that Super Bowl 2021 Super Bowl like reboot on Sunday night. I don't know if you caught that game.
It was a very sad reboot. Monday night. Yeah, it was Monday night. There was 2 Monday nights. It's weird. Yeah,
it was weird. I didn't like it actually. Thankfully, the Eagles game was.
I don't like the Monday night stack. I'm not big on the Monday night stack.
I don't either. I don't know why I don't like it, but I just don't like it. I just want one Monday night football game, and I want it to stand on its own. I agree with you.
And it's like you can't. There's no mechanism to watch them both. That's the problem.
I had the double. There's no Sunday ticket, but it didn't work properly.
Yeah, it's not the same, and it's not. It doesn't fill up. I hate the double box. It doesn't fill up the whole screen. You know what I mean? You're not utilizing my entire TV, bro. Like
quad box or nothing, dude. Go big or go home.
Yeah, exactly.
I like if they had Scott Hansen there, doing both games. Like I'd watch that.
I'd be down, right? Yeah, for sure. But like, there's no.
Yeah. He works hard enough, but yeah, I thought the Bengals actually showed some stuff at the end. I thought the defenses sort of battled, and I think both of those teams are a little bit better than they're getting credit for in that game because like people were shitting on that game, and I think people are so quick to shit on games that are just like not blowout, high scoring games. Like Pat McAfee went fucking berserk on this game, and I'm like, I enjoyed it. Like I enjoyed watching it. I thought it was like a defensive battle.
Going berserk, bro.
Yeah, he does. Rant. He's just like waiting for a rant at any point, but. I think what I liked about it was like kind of old school. Like it felt like I was watching football, like my Monday Night Football game in like 1998. I was like, great, defenses are battling. Nobody can really get it together. It's going to come down to like 1 or 2 big plays. And Jamar Chase makes 1 or 2 big plays, and T. Higgins drops about fucking 9 balls. But Jamar Chase makes 1 or 2.
What was up with him, man? That was weird.
I don't know. He's just having an off night.
I think talking about them is key for this though, because like they should be in this top 10, right? I mean
they're still when you think. They haven't
think about the better teams in this league.
Yeah.
Yeah. When you think about the better teams in this league, you definitely think about them. So it's like weird that they're not on this list yet.
It makes sense that they're not on the list this week, but I would predict, if I was a betman, and I am, I would predict that they are going to make the power rankings again at some point this season. Yeah. And they are notoriously slow starters. I don't know if that has anything to do with like how their training camps get put together or like what. I know that Burrow did not do a ton of reps in the preseason. we're now at the week where like that's not an excuse anymore, right? Like you now have to be like good. Like you can take a week, maybe 2 to do that. But once you're in week 3, you got to start throwing the ball properly. Listen, they won the game. I mean, I'm not, taking anything away from them. And we know how those two teams match up with that defensive line and everything. So I think that they did a good job of winning the game and in prime time nonetheless. But I think that they're not going anywhere. I think writing them off would be absurd. I've heard a few outlets with the sensational take of like the Bengals are done, like they're not the same team anymore, and must be internal problems. No, that's the Buffalo Bills you're thinking of, and I'm just not worried about the Cincinnati Bengals. But yeah, I would call it an honorable mention, Bob, honestly, because like I think it's important to sort of be thereabouts with a few teams that aren't in there. I was surprised also in another honorable mention to not see the Falcons in there because I am high on my early preseason Falcons prediction, and I'm enjoying this team being good, like legitimately good.
Yeah, I'd say they were 11 if I'm being honest. The fact they got absolutely shut down.
Yeah,
in that game, it just scared me off of them for sure.
Like I said, I don't think they're going to be a Super Bowl team, but I think they're really.
It's just like the Lions. The Lions just said, Bijan, you're not beating us. That's not what happening. We're gonna stack the box all fucking day, and we're gonna make Ritter beat us, and he couldn't, and that just scares me.
Yeah,
but
no,
look, I'm not. South, I think they're number one in the NFC South for sure.
I think they're going to stay number one in the NFC South also is the thing. So yeah, they're very beatable. And obviously like the quarterback position, like they're not built to win in today's NFL, as the cliche goes. But yeah, I mean, I still am high on them. I really enjoy Bijan. I just like watching him play football. He's super entertaining. So good. I wish he was on my fantasy team. But alas, he is not. I also thought the Bucs made a good account of themselves again. And Baker Mayfield made a good account of himself again. And I know you put him in the honorable mention. The Ravens seem to have dropped out, Bob. The Ravens. I believe your quote last week. If let me paraphrase actually, because whatever. But I'm 100% all in on Lamar and the Ravens. Now that they've got him weapons, I'm so sure about this team. They finally look like a team that can really. Look at the guys they have. And I was a little confused listening to it because, as you know, I was down on the Ravens coming into this season, and I didn't think that their defense was good enough still, and I didn't think that the weapons they added around Lamar were crazy good. I mean, Mike made the point on last week's show, which I really enjoyed, by the way. I had a really good time listening to you guys, and I was jealous that I wasn't here, but he made the point like, well, I mean, Nelson Aguilar, it's like, he looks like a different guy now that he's on this team compared to being on the Pats. It's like, does he? Are you sure? He looks the same to me. Same height, same weight, same fucking ability. I don't know. I'm not 100% on that. I think Flowers is good. I think that was a big addition.
Flowers is definitely good.
I think Mark Andrews is like solid still. I think he's probably still the second best tight end in the league, but that's like a distant second to Travis Kelce because of like the standards he sets. As a quick aside, I don't give a fuck who Travis Kelce is dating. I don't give a shit who Taylor Swift is dating. Yeah, I don't want to talk about it. It's not a fun NFL storyline. There's like the scriptwriters this year, they're obviously on strike. They're just clearly on strike. This is reality show shit. I don't care about it.
Agreed.
Great storylines last year. Football storylines last year. Storylines that really like impacted and mattered within the context of the sport that we know and love. It's a great package the NFL puts together. And by the way, it's Swifties. Don't come for me. This is not a criticism of your fucking
Cowboys. It's a tough road to go down, man.
No, I could give a fuck. I will criticize her, but not because of this.
Actually, maybe this is the route to go down.
Yeah, right. Yeah, here comes the. No, I mean, I will criticize her. I will absolutely criticize her for the thousands of dollars that her tickets cost, for dads sitting in their car having fucking panic attacks because they have to go into their house and explain to their daughter that their favorite artist has priced them out of seeing them live because she's more about capitalism than she is about, entertaining her fans. But like, that's not what her brand says. Also, Carly Rae Jepsen.
I also heard she might be about something else more than entertaining her fans. I don't know if you heard about like the brainwashing and
Could be. I would believe it. Listen, I don't trust the rich. It's not Taylor Swift's fault. I don't trust the rich. And it's like, if you have $2 million in the bank, I'm not talking about you. I don't trust the rich, the real rich, like the rich, the ones that are having meetings about staying rich and laughing at us from Rich Cunt Island. I'm not sitting here saying it's a Taylor Swift problem, you know.
Don't trust the people that fireproof their house 24 hours before massive fires
weird,
on
bro.
an island. You know, it's not a good.
I'm suspicious of how Ryan Reynolds became a billionaire because I remember that guy being in shitty fucking rom-coms. I'm suspicious. That's all. I'm just asking questions, man. But listen, here's the thing. It's not about her. It's not about. She's like, you know, she's very successful. I'm sure she's a nice person. I don't give a fuck who Travis Kelce, the tight end for the Kansas City Chiefs, is dating. I don't give a fuck. I don't give a shit who Taylor Swift's dating. I haven't given a fuck who Taylor Swift was dating before this. I haven't given a shit who she's dating after this. But listen, all good. I'm not trying to be a hater. This is getting you into football. This is helping you and your boyfriend fucking bond because you both became like cliches of the masculine and feminine ideal, and you like Taylor Swift and he likes Travis Kelce. Get after it. The more the merrier. Like, come on in. His jersey sales are up 400%. She's hanging out with his mom. It's adorable. It's so cute. Can't wait to hear the song about their breakup. But like, do we have to talk about it this much? Because I'm done talking about it. Moving on. We're going to get into the power rankings here because I think there's a lot to talk about with especially the top 6. Like you said, I think the top 6 have a lot of interesting storylines, non-Taylor Swift related going into this wonderful week 4. The Seattle Seahawks. I'm surprised. Yep. I thought that they were going to be decent, but actually they look like a genuine offensive threat. I think that, we talked about it in the preseason rankings. Like, me and Mike were pretty high on him because of like the Pete Carroll factor. We think he's a good coach. We think that where they are in their going to their stadium is very, very difficult, and it always has been. I think Arrowhead probably has pipped it. I don't think anyone's going to argue with that, but it's hard to go there and win. And I think, they're just still sort of there or thereabouts. What made you put them at 10 over the likes of the Falcons, the Saints, you know, other teams that have looked like they might possibly be decent?
So that 10 spot actually came down to a few different teams. There was the Ravens, Falcons, and the Seahawks. I picked the Seahawks because Ravens just lost to the Colts, and you know that kind of eliminated them immediately. And then over the Falcons was just the quarterback. There's more faith in Geno Smith, man. I think they're very similar teams. I think they both can be very flawed at times and look like flawed teams. But when it comes down to it, I just have more faith over Geno and Pete Carroll than I do over Desmond Ridder and Arthur Smith. You know, like I like Arthur Smith, but I just don't. You know, we haven't seen it proven. It's not been tested yet. And we saw an entire season out of Geno where he looks like a top 15 quarterback at the very worst. And at times, Desmond Ridder literally looks like the worst quarterback in football. At times. There are times where he looks okay, but at times he looks really bad. So that's what they put the Seahawks in. Plus, they have some good wins under their belt. You know, beating the Rams is pretty good. Actually, I think they lost the Rams. But, I mean, just... You know, they have some good wins under their belt, and I just like the way they look at times. You know, over the rest of the teams, and it kind of seems like one of those things where it was like, okay, we might not talk about the Seahawks much more this year, so why don't we give them that 10 spot? We'll talk about them a little bit, and we'll see if they can stick in. You know.
Yeah, I mean, DK's on my fantasy team, and he's actually been doing better than I thought he was going to do this year for where I drafted him. I actually got him kind of low, and he's been putting up some points. I just thought in my head, I was like, I don't think Geno Smith's like the best deep ball quarterback in the world, and I think that's what DK Metcalf like thrives on. But no, I think that they've really found a way to sort of retool that offense to Geno's strengths.
And I mean, yeah, two games in a row, 37 points. It's nothing to sneeze at, you know. And in the early iteration of the NFL so far, points have kind of been at a premium. You know, and seeing them put up that many points 2 straight weeks, just, you know, kind of gave them that next nudge up against the rest of them.
Yeah, I think they're very similar to the Patriots, to be honest, who I also think maybe could have skirted around this area. They're really well coached. They have really big flaws in their roster, and they're a tough place to go, and they're like on everybody's calendars, right? So I think they're probably a better team than the Patriots. I think it was the correct choice to put them at number 10. And like the Pats struggling with an Aaron Rodgers-less Jets and like almost fucking that up is one thing. And I'm sure, you know, there's a whole dedicated Pat show every week, guys. Like, check that out after you check this out if you haven't already. But like, yeah, obviously that
I'm actually on this week's. I'm on this week, so check it out. I'm over there.
Because he's previewing the Cowboys playing the Pats, which I think should be a bounce back big game for the Cowboys, and it should be a demolition. But I don't think the Patriots are that bad a team. I know when Belichick's the coach, obviously. But they haven't quite figured out how to operate around Mac's strengths the way that Carroll's found a way to operate around Geno's strengths. Also, Mac has a lot less weapons, if we're being honest. But what's your opinion on that Patriots team? Just quickly. They seem weird to me. Like they could potentially take the Dolphins if they.
That's things like. But Mac's just he's not doing it for me, man. I'm a big Mac guy, but like I need to see him make a throw. I need to make him
myself.
I need a wow moment out of that dude, and I haven't had a wow moment out of him in 2 years. You know what I mean? It's been a while since we had a Mac Jones moment, and you can have bad players, you can have a bad personnel, but if you're an elite quarterback, bro, you gotta have one every once in a while. You gotta have something that makes us be like, oh shit, this fucking guy, right? Yeah, anything.
Yeah, fair
enough. That's my
enough.
opinion on the Pats. I think they could be good, but Mac Jones needs to step up. He needs to do something, bro. Got to do something.
Fair point. But again, I mean, I do think that the way that team's constituted and the coaching staff there, one of the coaching staffs there, with staff members there, they could go like take a game off the Niners. They could go like take a game off the Dolphins. Like I still think that that's possible for them. I just don't know if they're going to go take important games in the playoffs, if that makes sense. Number 9, the Green Bay Packers. Wow, did not think I would see them on this list this year. Let's fucking rumble right past this. I didn't think they looked that good. To be honest, I don't see what people are talking about with Love. I think it's a bounce. I think it's an early bounce. I think that there's very, 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 very little tape on him, and I think once that tape starts to emerge, just the layman watching at home, I'm like, oh, they're gonna figure this guy out. Like it's right there. It's right there to get him figured out, and I think the first team to do that is going to take them off this list, and we're not going to see them back again. But talk me out of it. Maybe I'm wrong.
I think tomorrow's a big game for them against the Lions, which is another good Thursday night game, by the way. It's just 3 in a row.
Yeah, they really proved that they knew the last season was a disaster. So,
I mean, you just felt bad for Al Michaels at some point where he was doing like Texans Jaguars in week 8 on a Thursday. Like, bro, this fucking guy, he's got to be hating his life. Yeah.
He's just paid.
Yeah, no, I just like the fact they beat the Saints and they put up those points on this defense, man. I mean, I think the Saints defense is real. It was 3 weeks in a row. 3 weeks in a row, they had shutouts through 2 of the teams that had shutouts through 2 quarters. And I think they didn't let up more than 20 points, and they still haven't. So the fact they're able to put up 18 points. Yeah, the offense isn't great. But the fact that they're able to put up 18 points in a quarter, in crunch time, just I like the way Jordan Love looks. I really do, man. And I know, like you said, there's not much tape on him, but it takes him nuts to go down and get that 2-point conversion like they did at the end of the game.
He's confident. I think he's confident.
And then have that drive.
Affect his confidence yet.
Yeah, I mean, and then that drive at the end, though. I mean, that's something right there that already, to me, puts Jordan Love above Mac Jones. Because Jordan Love just had a moment where he actually drove a fucking team down the field and won the game for them. And that's something that, like, not many quarterbacks have in them. Like, I don't think I'm going to ever see Desmond Ridder leave a 2-minute drive, 84 yards for the win. You know what I mean? Like, there's just certain quarterbacks that can do that. And he proved that he's one of those. That, to me, just takes his team and puts him up a whole nother level.
Yeah. Is Jared Goff one of those guys? Have I been like drastically underrating him? Now moving on to the number 8.
Might be.
Is he better than I thought? Is that am I realizing that now? Is he better than I thought, or does he just have really good weapons and a really good offensive scheme?
I think there's something to be said to be able to be as consistent as he is with those weapons. You know what I mean? Like, even the Rams team back in the day, like, he was really good on that team that went to the Super Bowl. So I think if you put him in the right situations, he can be very, very good. And it's like, he's not going to be that guy that's going to elevate you like a Pat Mahomes or like a Josh Allen or right. But like, I think if you put him in the right situation, he's definitely a dude that can be, I can't even think of the type of guy. Like, I don't even know. Like a Donovan McNabb. No, that's not even right. Like a Tony Romo. Like Tony Romo, like that tier where he can get you there if you put the right pieces around him. He's not going to good exactly. Example? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, exactly. Where it's like he's got the talent and the ability if you put the pieces around him.
He's got a cannon too. He's got a fucking cannon. Yeah. I mean, I like his arm a lot. And the thing is I think I hated him in relation to the Rams. I think he got some stink on him down there, and like the way that they were putting that team together before they did the big trade for Stafford. I think he got some stink on him there, and I think that I sort of associated him with that trade. And also he plays for the Lions, who everyone's got their least disliked division rival, right? And the Lions are definitely mine because they've never done anything to hurt my feelings. And it seems like they're gearing up to do shit to hurt my feelings. It seems like we're coming down the pipe on that. But obviously the Packers number one, most fucking hated. I mean, if you can't tell by the 2.5 minutes I spent on the number 9 of the power rankings.
You're like, wait, fucking Packers?
Like, yeah, I don't think he's the guy. You think he's the guy? Cool, moving on. So listen, I mean, I don't want the Lions to be good, but I actually, strangely, and I don't know if this has ever happened to you in your life, where you're looking at one of your division rivals and you're like, I like their roster. I like their roster. I like how they played football. Like, it's just, I'm in basketball, you can be a sports atheist, in like much more agreeably a sports atheist, where you can like look at other players and other teams. It's like an open relationship, basketball more so than a monogamous one, right? Where you can like look around and you can be like, I like the way that dude plays basketball, man. I like his handles. I like this. I like that. In football, you got to be really careful about that. You got to be really like, fuck that other team. This is my shit. I only like this team. You got to be much more diehard about it. So I am skirting the line here, saying that I actually do like the Lions roster as it's currently constituted. Especially though, and this is my little bugbear about it, because they're not quite good enough. Like, you can tell that they're not quite there. Like, they have holes. I think they have definite defensive issues still, in a way that I think they're going to get opened up in a big way against a big team. It could happen tomorrow, with how the Packers are playing. Like you said, if your world is true, if your reality is true, it could happen tomorrow, Thursday night, for the Thursday night football game against the Packers and the Lions. But I enjoy Amon-Ra St. Brown a lot. I really enjoy their running backs. I am actually growing to enjoy Jared Goff as a QB.
And Dan Campbell is just
I like their coach. I was just gonna say I like their coach too. So, and as much as he was kind of corny coming in, and the stuff he was saying about establishing culture coming in, I think he's kind of growing on me, and I think he's kind of got it. He might be this year's Brian Dable. Because we're not going to be talking about Brian Dable as much as I know you have a massive fucking hard on for Brian Dable. So we're not going to be talking about him that much this year, I don't think. So you could use him as your Brian Dable up this year. I mean, he did perform miracles with that fucking roster last season. I'll give him credit for that, Dable. I mean, but that team sucks. So definitively they're bad. Like, definitively. Like, it happened so fast. It was like we got 3 or 4 teams, and the Bears included, where it was like, oh, you're bad. We're done. We're forgetting about you. I mean, the fact that we have to watch the Bears and the fucking Broncos it's a real encouragement to the idea that
I feel like that's like a story that I don't think I've ever seen a game with 2 teams that have such low. We're so demoralized the week.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just
that game again 0-0. It could be a fucking soccer school. Honestly,
I saw like a meme thing that was like, "What happens if we tie?" And the NFL was like, "We'll kill you both." You're both dead. We're killing us.
I would move that franchise out of Chicago at this point and start over. The Chicago fucking Sea Turtles, like, start a new one because the Bears are done. Like, move them out. Because I can't. I really just can't. Because the one thing I've been holding on to is like, it's been 2 weeks, guys. It's been 3 weeks, guys. If we go and draw to the fucking Denver Broncos, you're going to have to replace me on this show. I can't talk about football anymore if that happens. Cut 2. And it's a tie. Yeah. No, I do like the Lions roster, and I do think that 8th spot on the power rankings this week feels right. It feels correct. Let's talk about the Pittsburgh Steelers, Bob.
Yeah,
my one little ray of light of this season. I really like them. Shocking. You seem to be forced to put them on the power rankings because they're number 1 in their division. It probably wasn't easy for you. It probably wasn't an easy thing for you to do. But this week, I thought, first of all, they beat a Browns team who looked better this week. So it's like when you go to a college and then they make your college nice after you leave, it's like your degree gets a little nicer than when you.
That's what they did to us, bro. That's what they did.
Yeah, no
to us.
shit. No shit. That's happened to me. So that's how I know. But I think that if you look at what they look like, the Steelers look like week one, it really looked like we weren't going to be having this conversation. But I think to go to Las Vegas, which is a tough road team. I mean, I don't think it's an established tough road team in the sense of like we've really seen that place turn whole games. But with the freshness and newness of their franchise and how fucking nice their stadium is, it doesn't look like a nice or fun place to really go, to be honest, for teams. And I think it does the Raiders a lot of favors. But I really thought that they looked good. I thought Kenny Pickett looked good. He was going through his progressions. I thought he looked really solid. I thought the offense was going to get retooled, and it did. It looked like they were just really slow out of the blocks in that first week. Really, really slow out the blocks. And I don't think the panic button after week one was as necessary as it was. They're always going to be decent, Bob. Like, they're always going to be decent. And here's why. Say what you will about Mike Tomlin. That dude is a damn fine football coach. I would take him in my fucking franchise in one heartbeat. He's a defensive guy, came up as a defensive backs coach. You know, he was on that Tampa Bay team in that blowout Super Bowl. Remember that? I forget what year that was. 2000 and,
yeah, I do.
2002.
2000. I think it's 2000.
2000 was Ravens, Titans. I think it was 02.
Oh, you're right. You're right.
Maybe, or the 02-03 season. But he was the defensive backs coach on that team. And he is a defensive guy. He came up doing defenses, and he's built some decent defenses over there in Pittsburgh. But really, like, I think the mark of his tenure there has been this running joke we have of like insane skill players coming out of the fucking 6th round for the Pittsburgh Steelers, and it's still going on. I mean, there's guys coming out of nowhere I've never heard of, it randomly week to week for them, and I think that's just the sign of a good coaching staff or a well-run franchise. And I just think, yeah, like, you can say like today was a bad day for them because, you know, they were in the news today because for some reason Ben Roethlisberger and fucking Jerome Bettis wanted to like chime in about like the Patriots and how the Patriots
back in the day. Yeah.
It's like, dude, first of all, whether you're right or wrong, it doesn't help your franchise right now, and you sound like fucking sore losers. So just shut the fuck up.
Sometimes I think shit like this is like pure sign of the Matrix because they're just running out of storylines, and it's like, bro, they just have to keep
like, go ask Jerome Bettis
over again. Just
like somebody at ESPN was like, let's go ask Jerome Bettis,
bro. Just think about Jerome Bettis, guys. Yeah.
Somebody called him up and was like, how often do you think about the Roman Empire? And he was like, let me tell you about the Patriots and how they fucking cheated us. They stole our stuff. And then like he goes on to describe, like, because he's just obviously been thinking about this for years. He's going on to describe good coaching. He's like, well, then, you know, I was doing this hand signal that meant, or the offensive coordinator was doing this hand signal that meant a counter run, and we were on 4th and 1, and then they called a timeout and made the nose tackle come and get a note. So they must have read the signal. It's like, that's good coaching, bro. It's not illegal to fucking read signals. Like, if they were taping your practices and stealing them, whatever. But we've been through that already. At the end of the day, like, you got beat. But here's the thing.
It's over, bro. It's over. Right.
Then there's this other side of the argument. But then there's this other side of the argument, which fucking Patriots fans love to do, where they're like, we fucking own you. And it's like, yeah, well, I mean, you're doing that thing that Lakers fans do, where you're just like naming a very specific period because your consciousness existed during it, and you're making that count for more. And unfortunately, because like all of human existence like counts equally, like that's just not how it works. But that's fine. They did this thing today that annoyed me then too, because it was like, obviously I like the Pittsburgh Steelers because of my wife, and they're an AFC team, so I have no problem being on the bandwagon. But somebody came out today, he's like, whatever, Rodney Harrison was better than Troy Polamalu. And I'm like, don't say sentences like that, because it makes you sound like you've never watched either of those players play football, because that is categorically incorrect. That is objectively incorrect. Yeah, like, you are not true about that. And it's like,
that was not correct.
I can't listen to shit like sensational fucking internet takes like that, because
like, you never saw Rodney Harrison. Yeah, Rodney Harrison never jumped 7 feet over an entire defensive line to block.
I'm sorry. Troy Polamalu was one of the greatest entertaining fucking football players I've ever seen. And like, I don't mean to sound like
great. He was a great spokesperson for Head and Shoulders too.
Unbelievable spokesperson for Head and Shoulders. He was just the guy, dude. Like, I loved that guy. You couldn't take your eyes off him when you watched the Steelers game during that era. You could not take your eyes off him.
Flowing out of that helmet.
Don't. The guy like invented a new way to fucking edge rush in that era. Like get the fuck out of here. And he'll be able to show edge rushing and then be in the secondary to intercept your ball. Like nobody ran backwards faster than that man. I'm not doing this. I'm just not doing it. Ronnie Harris is a great player in a system. He was not Troy Polamalu. Sorry.
So that should tell you how garbage the 7 through the rest of the NFL is. That like we just went on a, you know what I mean? Like it really doesn't matter. These from 7 down, it really doesn't, man. Like I was looking at it, it's like there's a lot of bad football teams right now.
Yeah,
bad
but here's the thing.
teams.
Here's the thing, and I just want to prepare you for this.
And a lot of average football teams.
Sure. Great. Nobody's like emerged from the pack yet. I get it. The Steelers are playing the Texans next. They're not leaving the 7th. They're not leaving the 7th spot. I'll tell you right now, for next week, maybe they go up. Like honestly, it depends on how bad the Cowboys do. But at the end of the day, like I'm sorry. I mean, it's just it's like we have to factor in these
reality.
It's
a reality.
It's a reality. You can't be. You know what? That's a great transition because honestly, Bobby, you can't be losing to the fucking Arizona Cardinals with that defense.
I almost took them out.
You can't do it with the Arizona Cardinals looking like they figured out how to play against your defense. Like that was the worst part of the entire fucking game. Like they played you physical, they grinded you, they kept you on the field. Like they did all this stuff that you're supposed to do to a defense like this, and it worked like a fucking charm. I know you were blaming the ACL tear on Diggs, but I don't know, man. You can't look that much of a mess with one corner going out, right? I mean, it's bad. And I could see that argument honestly if you had gone and played Buffalo. And it's like, well, you know, we didn't have anybody to put on their wide receiver 1, but it's like James Conner was lighting you up, bro. Like that wasn't Trayvon Diggs being missing, you know, like James Conner was running all over you. It was like a first fucking 2017. Like, what is this?
They just didn't show up, man. I mean, it was clear from you saw it in the group chat, man. It was.
Well, you needed your offense to win the game. And that's
it was 9-0 and that. Yeah, it was 9-0, and I was like, "We're in trouble." You're like, "Calm down." I'm like, "Bro, I've seen this script before."
Not this early though.
It's not. Yeah, it's not
be a
this
good
early,
thing.
but like, I was gonna say that might be a good thing, but like, every single year there is that game that you just point at, and you're like, "This is the game that you knew." That it was the same Cowboys team every single year. It was, like I said, the Broncos game 2 years ago, the Jaguars game last year.
I don't believe that. I don't believe that. I don't believe that's what happened. I really don't. I don't.
You think it was just a 1 week, a 1 week flop?
I think that if you believe that's what's happening and they believe that's what's happening, then that's what's happening. But I also believe that I saw a generationally good defense across the first 2 weeks. And I know what I'm looking at. I've been watching football long enough to know what I'm looking at. That can't have just disappeared. Now, if there is a genuine mental issue in Dallas or a genuine culture issue in Dallas that like
what worries me.
A generationally good defense can get fucking just absolutely toppled by one bad game, then I mean, I guess they weren't generationally good in the first place, and I was wrong. But I watched it, man. I watched them come through on like time and time again and show the world last season and this season that they're the most talented defense in the NFL up against another good, generationally good defense in the San Francisco 49ers. Like we have two of the best defenses we've had in the last decade operating at the same time right now, which is fantastic for defensive lovers like myself. But they're better than the 49ers. Like they're a better defense than the 49ers. Their offense is...
What really worries me is that their two leaders might be mentally weak, which kind of makes the whole team mentally weak.
Dak and who?
Yeah.
Dak and who?
Dak and McCarthy, man. Dak and McCarthy. And, you know, for one injury to derail a team.
Parsons?
Yeah, Micah's great, man, but like a quarterback is your leader. And like, yeah, but like, you know, when you have to rely on your offense to win you a fucking game and they can't fucking do it, and then you have Dak throwing an interception like that, and like it's just
that's what I'm talking about. You gotta sack up and tell Dak Prescott managing the game. He's got to be managing the game. Dude. He's not there to do that shit. He started forcing it. He did. Here's the problem with Dak Prescott.
I'm very down. I'm very down after this past week because before you go into Dak, it's just like I really thought I really did think that this team was different. They had a different feel. They had a different, like,
You could be playing the tape from last season.
but like, you really could, for real. But like, it was so disappointing to lose that. It would have been a disappointment to win that game by 3.
Yeah.
And they lost by 12.
Oh yeah, for sure.
You know what I mean? It's like, bro, you can't do, if you're an elite team, if you truly are one of these top tier teams, you can't lose a game like that. You cannot lose a game.
I'll say this. It happening this early, I think, is a good thing. I think it usually happens to you guys in like fucking week 6 or 7. And it's like, then it's like, oh, the fucking wheels start to come off. We can just look at this as like, look, we lost our second most important defensive player. Would you say that's true? Goes down with an ACL tear.
Yeah.
Second most important
for sure.
We had to retool the defense. They had a really good game plan coming out, and we didn't react properly on offense. And we can change that. Everybody, calm down. It's a long season. Calm it down. If that's the attitude, I know you're worried about McCarthy, but if that's the attitude, then we're good. The problem with Dak is, and this is the issue I've always had with him, and I couldn't really put my fucking finger on it until I watched this game. He's so affected by the context of the game. Like, however the game is going is what kind of Dak Prescott you're going to get. Like, that's just true. When he had that shootout with Brady early last season, or was that 2 seasons ago now? You remember that? It's just like absolutely.
Yeah, it was last year.
Last year. Electric kickoff to the fucking NFL. Like, just an absolute shootout between the two of them, right? And that's because the context of the game. That's the context of the game put Dak in that position to do that. The forcing it into places it shouldn't be thrown, the context of the game put him in there, because the context of the game said, Dak, you got to be the hero, man. The defense isn't doing it this week. This is your moment. He needs to be more consistent and be a version of himself he selects to be consistently across the board, and stop trying to change who you are based on how that one game is going. It's an immature approach to the game. It just is. Like, you don't get to do that right now, man. You've been playing for long enough, and you've been leading this team long enough, and this team is built around you now, and it has been for long enough, or the offense is at least, and it has been for long enough, that you need to decide who the fuck you are, man. You need to decide who you are, because if you know who you are, then the context of the game doesn't matter. You know how many times I watched Tom Brady be like, yeah, this is how this game is going. This is how this script is going, but I'm fucking Tom Brady. Do you know how many times I watch fucking Aaron Rodgers do that shit? You know, you don't even need to be Tom Brady. You can be fucking Aaron Rodgers, and you can be like, no, that's not what's going to happen today. And he doesn't do that. He swims in the pool of it. You know, he needs to be a lifeguard, and instead he's like a drowning fucking civilian on the beach. And it's like, dude, you got to cast yourself in the role of leader, and then you got to fulfill that. You got to fulfill that role. Don't decide that you're the outlaw Josie Wales because your team's down 9 points. You know what I mean? It's
yes, I do.
Because you can get in his head, essentially. You know, just not to oversimplify it, but you can get in his head, and teams do. And I think, man, I really think that calling him the Black Kirk Cousins was a disservice to Kirk Cousins, because he's better than Dak. Like, he just is. And I think that until you either make him a game manager and let your defense win the games, and on their heads be it, however it goes down, then, or replace him, then you're not going to do it. And I just hate to say it, but it's true.
Yeah, I don't disagree anymore. I don't. Dak is mid. Period. and until something changes, man.
Until such times otherwise, Dak is mid.
Yeah, exactly, man. It's like I've tried to defend him for years now, and it's like every time I do, and we get to a certain point, he does something that's like, oh nope, everything's out the fucking window, and it doesn't matter anymore.
You know, speaking of like Cutler, he used to do the same thing to me.
Bro, last year's perfect point. It's like Tampa Bay game in the playoffs. He looks amazing, and you're like, yeah, Dak is here. And then San Francisco game, it's the same bullshit, the same stupid fucking throws, the same stupid fucking runs, and it's like, dude, if in a league where the quarterback is the most important position by far, you can't win a game with such a Super Bowl with such an inconsistent quarterback until he strings together 4 games in
You
elite
could in
play, bro. You
1997.
just can't do it. Yeah.
Yeah, man, I don't know. I'm still pulling for him, honestly, despite your fucking abject betrayal of the Bears and me being the last man on the bandwagon there with Justin Fields. I really genuinely am still pulling for them. I really like their defense. Like it wasn't. I'll happily fucking shit on you on this podcast and many others. I'm not in on the Cowboys because we're buddies. We are, but I like them because I like watching their defense play. That's why I've been in on them for 3 years. Yeah. That's why I've been pulling for them. That's why I've enjoyed watching them play football. And it does. I don't want to see you sad. You know, I do feel bad when this stuff happens to you, but I think that there's some cold truths that need to emerge in Dallas this week if they're going to do anything.
Agreed.
On that note,
this is a very big week for them. If they lose to this fucking Pats team, dude, I'm out. I
don't think they will.
I'm done. I don't think
it's time to have a bounce back week, and I think they'll be able to do it. And honestly, a lot of the glaring stuff, like the technical stuff, like we're talking about this shit on a meta level. Like, is Dak Prescott the kind of human being that can lead a group of men to war? Like we're talking about it on that level. And listen, this show descends into that all the time because of how my brain works and how often I take edibles. But the technical stuff being Zeke's out of there, Tony Pollard's the RB1. I think that your wide receiver room is improved. I think that McCarthy calling plays is better than you thought it was going to be, and I think that that's going to remain true. I think that the Arizona Cardinals might have just played a really good game, dude. Like, they might have just gone and played a really good game. Like, they might have won that game more than you guys lost. Like, there's a good chance of that being true. Like, I watched them do good shit as more than I watched the Cowboys make egregious mistakes. Not that they didn't. So I'm just trying to pep you up at the end because we got to get through the rest of the team. And you look really
still out. We're good.
And I know you've had a tough day, but we're here. We're talking about football. The Buffalo Bills, the surging, the fantastical Buffalo Bills coming out and finally beating teams that they should after losing to the fucking Aaron Rodgers-less Jets week 1. They're a weird team, and I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about them in the context of the number 1 team in the power rankings, and we're going to have to do a little skipping around here because they're playing the Dolphins this weekend. And it's a cliche. It's especially a cliche on the show, but we are going to know a lot about a lot of stuff after this Sunday in the early game.
I think that's our number one. That's our number 1 phrase, right? We're gonna know a lot this week.
Well, we're
gonna figure out a lot.
We are though. It's the Buffalo Bills, and they're playing the Miami Dolphins. The Miami Dolphins look, I mean, quite honestly, they look like the best offense we've seen in 3 or 4 decades. To be honest,
they look so fucking good.
That's what they look like, and I don't know if anyone expected that, but here we are. I was more concerned about Tua's brain health going into this year. I thought you and Mike made a really good point last week about, like, if you release the ball quickly, then you keep your quarterback safe. And, like, they are so fast. Like, they are just the fastest kids.
They're the fastest team I've ever
They're the fastest team I've ever seen in my life. Like, It's so fun to watch. It was fun as fuck to watch them put a beat down on Denver like that, especially with, like, Sean Payton and the shit he talked and how weird of a guy Russ is and just, like, all the stuff that's been happening in Denver and all the shit they've been saying. And I don't even hate the Denver Broncos, to be honest with you. I find them nothing. I nothing them, like, as a franchise. I don't know how you feel about them, but you might be a little closer to them because of what, like, went down with the Cowboys and them in the 90s. But I think I don't think about them all that much. But they did open their mouths a lot, and they got to beat down putting them in. I love Mike McDaniel, and we talk about this every week. Like, I love Mike McDaniel so much, and I like him and Tua. I like Tua. I think I'll be pulling for the Dolphins in this Bills Dolphins game this Sunday, which is really weird because they're the front runners, and I usually don't do that with neutral teams. But, like, man, they're fun to watch. Is it going to be a shootout? What are we looking for to know about the Bills, our fifth place power rank team? What do we need to see from them? And I think it's defensive, isn't it? Like, can they slow down the Dolphins? Because then if they can, I mean, in the context of the AFC and their division specifically, which, damn, that division fucking loaded, huh? Just with those 2 teams in it, like, holy shit. But what do you think? Like, what do we need to see from the Bills? And, like, what's going to convince you that the Bills are not the week 1 Bills, but they're in fact the week 3 Bills?
Yeah, I just feel like that Jets game is going to be that game that, like, we look back on. Like, Simmons says this all the time, like that week 1 game where you're like, what the fuck happened there?
Yeah,
that's going to be that game. because the Jets aren't going to win more than 3-4 games this year if they continue at this rate. And the Bills, in my opinion, are the team we saw the last 2 weeks. I mean, they put a beat down on the fucking Raiders. They put a beat down last week on the Commanders. But like they didn't just beat these teams, bro. They beat them into the fucking ground. What was it? It was 38-10 and then 37-3. Like they beat these fucking teams into the ground, and the Commanders were riding high. They were at home. It was like, you know, the stadium was finally full. Like I actually put money on the Commanders this week because I was like, wow, they're gonna cover the spread. They definitely are. They're gonna keep it close because it turned out to be really fucking dumb, actually. But it's just it's all Josh Allen in that running game. Listen, if James Cook is really real, and we've said this for years, man, since we started doing this show, that you can't have a running game with your quarterback as your best runner. You just can't do it, man. And until that changed, I thought there was too much on Josh Allen's shoulders. He was trying to do too much. Finally, they have a running game. And Cook's two weeks in a row, 19 for over 100 or 20 for over 100. If that continues, I think the Bills are going to be really tough to beat, man. I really do. And I like we said, we say it all the fucking time, but we're going to know a lot this week. If the Bills go in and beat Miami, man, that's a real team because Miami's looked like world beaters so far. They've obviously, that offense looks unbelievable. So if the Bills can figure out a way to go in there and beat them this week, they're obviously going to be moving up this list pretty high. But yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens. If the other Josh Allen emerges, then they'll fall down the other way. So I think with them, the story so far is I think they have the biggest ceiling to floor ratio in the league right now.
Boom or bust.
You know what I mean? Yeah. They're definitely a ceiling floor team for sure.
Yeah, I agree totally. I think Josh Allen is the determining factor. I was really worried by their running game again. Like I don't know what the fuck happens back there, but yeah, Josh looked like Josh. Stefan looked like Stefan. He was fucking styling on dudes, talking shit, like vintage. So we'll see. We will see. I'm the jury's out on them for me still. I don't have a definitive, deliberative thing to say about them yet because I think that, like you said, I mean, their downside is still ever present, and they really could, even though on paper it doesn't look like it. The wheels really could still fall off. So, like, let's wait and see. Let's look at 3 and 4 as a group. Also, you put the Chiefs at 4, the Eagles at 3. Is this just the hipster thing you're doing about the Chiefs again? I mean, it seems unfair. It seems unfair to me. I know that they lost the game and the Eagles haven't, but the performance they put in, I know it was against the Bears, who look like shit, but they look pretty definitive. Like the Chiefs look pretty fucking definitive, and you're doing that thing again where you're out on the fucking Kansas City Chiefs. Like, are you sure?
I'm not out on them. It's just the Eagles didn't. I already had them below the Eagles, and it's the same thing as last year, where it's like the Eagles didn't do anything to make me drop them. And I don't mean to offend you with this, but beating the Bears isn't enough to jump them above the Eagles. I'm sorry.
Is beating the Eagles enough to jump them above the Eagles? Because they're still last year,
Listen, they still had a tough game against the Jaguars. The Jaguars just fucking lost to the fucking Jaguars, just the Texans, and they barely beat the Jags. So it's like, it's just I don't think there's much difference if you were to make me. I think you could take these top 4 teams as long as that number 1 team's quarterback stays healthy, jumble them in a jar in any order. Would
all their quarterbacks stay healthy.
Well, actually, maybe 2, 3, and 4 because I think number 1 stands out after this past week. But 2, 3, and 4, you could jumble them in a jar, and I don't think one stands out above the rest. I think they're all right there. I think we're running back the same exact fucking script that we ran back last year. I just think that we're literally it's the same 5 to 6 teams, the same, those same, and especially these top 4. As long as again that quarterback stays healthy, these 4 teams last year
present in this discussion as
they were last year.
At the start of the year,
but they were last year at the start. They were, man.
Fucking one with a bullet, though,
But they were though. But they Tua was an MVP conversation at the beginning of last year too, and then his fucking brain turned into much.
We should
You
start
know what I
betting
mean?
the
So
we should start betting the script. Like, let's just like look back what happened
for
week
real
4, week
though,
5,
because just
betting those lines.
because it really seems like they're running it back, because it's just like these 4 teams really do stand out, and obviously we'll get to the rest of them, but like I just couldn't. Obviously, it could change week to week with these teams, but I don't see many teams jumping into this top 4 besides these guys, unless someone hurts, unless something changes. I think this is
not
our
the
top 4.
Cowboys. Not the Cowboys.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. It's going to take a lot for them to win.
Not the Bills.
The Bills could jump up if they beat the Dolphins. So that's what I mean. Things change if the Bills beat the Dolphins. That changes things, obviously, because you know that changes who we think the Dolphins are. Because right now it doesn't look like anyone can stop them. But
yeah, no, it really does. On that note, the San Francisco 49ers, comparatively to since we're talking about sort of all of them now, comparatively to the rest of the teams in here, you put them at number 2. I think it's completely fair that they're over the Eagles. The Eagles look, it's like I can't quite put my finger on what's wrong with them. Like I know that they've been winning their games.
2 new coordinators. That's what it is.
You think that's what it is?
Yeah.
I mean, I also think that the chances of DeAndre Swift making it 18 games, 17 games with
it's slim.
It's pretty slim. And it's like he looked so good for them that I think it's going to be impossible to resist the temptation of starting to use him more and rely on him more.
Is he better than Miles Sanders? I think he is, right?
Yeah, he is. Yeah. I mean, the way he runs, especially in that offense, and the way that offensive line like gives him space, like it's a match made in heaven. It's pretty close to McCaffrey and the 49ers to me. It's like what you were saying when McCaffrey got traded to the Niners. It's like he just looks right in that jersey. He just looks correct in that jersey right now.
Yeah,
and it does look right, but I would just be really, really worried about his health. I also don't to be honest, with the exception of the 49ers, I'm taking the Dolphins QB at over Hurts. I'm taking Patrick Mahomes. I'm taking Josh Allen. I'm not taking Dak Prescott, and I'm probably not. Eagles 49ers are like I'm always been a little bit more down on Hurts maybe than everybody else. Like, is that unfair, you think?
No. And I think being up on Purdy is smart, to be honest. I really like Brock Purdy.
Really good. I think
he does. He looks the part, man. And
I know it's a system.
Type of guy. It's like, but it's like exactly what you were saying with Dak, where it's like Brock Purdy is Brock Purdy, and he's always going to be that guy, no matter what situation he gets put in, no matter what happens. That's the quarterback he is, and that's what I love about him. And I think coming into the season, if it weren't for 70 points, the 49ers would be the number 1 team on this list. You know what I mean? If it weren't for what we just saw the Dolphins do, the 49ers are the best overall football team in this league, talent-wise, weapons-wise, coaching-wise, just, all around. I think they're the best team. But what we just saw the Dolphins do put them ahead of them. But with Brock Purdy solidifying the only question mark I had on this team coming into the season, literally the only question mark, they're going to be tough to beat. They really are, man. And I as much as it pains me to say it, you know what I mean, with them being like our biggest rival right now, I love the 49ers this year. I love watching them. You know what I mean? It's like the same thing with the Eagles last year, where it like pained me how much I enjoyed watching them play football.
Yeah, I mean, I was just saying,
it pains me how much I enjoy watching the 49ers. Yeah.
I was just saying this about the Lions, and I have even less of a reason to enjoy watching them than you have to watch the 49ers. The 49ers are objectively fucking fun to watch. Like, objectively.
They really are.
Like, I like turning on their games. So I am pulling for them. I think we have the opportunity to do a fun little thing that we often do when it works out like this. We have 2 NFC teams and 2 AFC teams in the top 4. So just to add context and put you in a position where you actually have to make these calls, I want to know something about how the courage of your convictions and your power rankings here. So the Dolphins and the Chiefs are 2 AFC teams. The Eagles and the 49ers are 2 NFC teams. So I'll start with an easier one. The Dolphins, if it is easy, the Dolphins are your number 1 team. The 49ers are your number 2 team. Sorry. Sorry. The Dolphins are your number 1 team. The Chiefs are your number 4 team. They play each other in the AFC Championship game. Who advances to the Super Bowl?
Right now?
Yeah.
Dolphins.
Oh my
Definitely.
God. Oh my God.
Yeah.
He's planting this flag on the hill of Chiefs hate.
Bro, if it's this Sunday coming up, I have so much more confidence in what I've seen from the Dolphins.
It's the AFC Championship game. It's like 20 weeks.
But you can't. But like, is it going to be fucking?
No, because that's
Jared
the point of this
Stidham
game.
starting for the Dolphins. I don't know who their backup is. I just pulled out a random quarterback.
No. That's the point of this game. We're talking about we're not talking about if they play each other this Sunday, because that's not the fucking AFC Championship game. I'm talking about it's the AFC Championship game. You have this currently constituted Dolphin squad. You have the currently constituted Chiefs squad, and you have to remember how many fucking AFC Championship games you've watched the Chiefs play. They're playing each other. That's the point of this game, is to make you think about that. It's not if they played each other this Sunday. That's what the power rankings are fucking answering. You already put them 3 places above the fucking Chiefs. We already got the answer to that question. I'm saying it's the AFC Championship game. Balls on the floor. Everybody's out. And it's Travis Kelce and Patrick Mahomes against Tua, Tyreek. Who you got?
I think it's still the Dolphins, bro.
All right, we'll see. We'll fucking see, I guess. I mean,
you think? I
think
Kadarius Toney is your number 1 in Kansas City.
I think that
Kadarius Toney is the number 1.
I understand. I think that the chances of the Chiefs managing their way through another successful NFL campaign,
it's pretty good.
It's playoffs, and then getting to a Super Bowl that they've done before, and then winning a Super Bowl that they've done before twice. I'm not doubting their ability to do that. That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying who looks best on form right now.
If it was in Miami, would Kansas City still be favored in that game? What do you think?
Would they be favored by me?
Vegas wise? Vegas wise.
Yeah.
Be close, right? It'd be like one Miami, maybe one Kansas City.
They might be a pick-up at best, I'd say. Yeah, I would say it's probably like minus 145 would be your odds on the Chiefs at this point.
So I mean, I think that tells you right there who
I would say that's a compliment to the Dolphins. That is.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, you're right though that like I think Vegas would favor the Chiefs in that situation though, because of what they've been through, the situation in the past. But this Dolphins offense looks so fucking good.
I know, dude. Patrick Mahomes is that dude. He's that dude, and like until you start believing that, like you're gonna keep like running into this wall over and over again. Like he's that dude, bro. Like it's
a fun wall though. It's a fun wall. I like that.
It's great for me. It makes for great content. Don't stop doing it. Same question. NFC Championship game. Now you understand the context before you try to rewrite the fucking rules of this little game that we play every goddamn week on the Power Ranking show.
I try to rewrite it every time.
Yeah, you're like, what? Right now, I mean, Patrick Mahomes with like, you'd have to get out of bed right now. Like, it's what time is it?
Kelsey break up with Taylor Swift?
No, I mean, what's 49ers Eagles. This is actually a tougher one, I think. Maybe even if that's possible to answer at this present moment. 49ers Eagles in the NFC Championship game. Who you got?
That is tough. I think it's 49ers though. I know I answered the Eagles a lot last year, but the Niners just look so good, man.
That's interesting.
Good.
That's interesting.
Yeah, they look really, really good.
I would probably lean 49ers too, but I thought you were going to say Eagles. That is
well, it's just the losing. I think the losing as a coordinators is a bigger deal than people make it out to be.
It seems like it, doesn't it? The way that they're playing.
It looks sloppier. It looks less.
That's not to say
they don't flow as much, man. Exactly. It's not to say they can't get there, but they just look different. And until they, and the 49ers are the same coaching staff, same quarterback, everything coming back. They have, you know what I mean? They're literally the same team as last year. So I don't see any reason, why not to put them ahead of them and why they wouldn't beat this team this time around if they had Brock Purdy as their quarterback. Let's not forget Brock Purdy literally didn't play in that NFC Championship game last year. Sure. His entire elbow exploded in the first quarter. So, and the 49ers still hung around in that game for a while when they couldn't throw the ball. So it was like, I think if you rematch that, it could turn out different. And I think this year will turn out different. I would take the 49ers.
All very interesting. The storylines of actual NFL football are developing. They are sort of coming down the pipe, slowly but surely, and maybe even a little faster than last year, to be honest. I thought there was like a lot more parity and a lot of confusion. We had to kind of vamp a little bit more across the first 4 or 5 weeks of the NFL, but some stuff is getting established. Travis Kelce's dating a pop star, and the rest of us just look on in contempt of their wealth. This has been Missing the Point, the Power Ranking Show. For myself, DK Sizzle, for my good friend, the real BK Bob Kelly, who braved, by the way, sickness and unsleeping children to be here for your listening pleasure. So your ears should thank him. Ladies and gentlemen, that has been the Power Ranking Show. Good night.
Miles, are you ready to record our promo for Season 2 of the Wanna Bet podcast?
David, have you ever seen a grown man naked?
Miles, we're not here to quote lines from Airplane. We're here to tell people that Season 2 starts August 18th.
But I like Airplane.
I know you do, but Wanna Bet is a sports betting podcast. Each week we bet $1,000 on the NFL teams and games that we love.
Well, that sounds like fun.
It is fun. And last year you picked over 60% of your games correctly.
How'd you do?
We're not talking about that. We are telling people that they can find us every Friday. So no more movie quotes.
Roger.
Electricast. Hey there, fabulous souls. I'm Stephanie Baklaan.
And I'm Eden Alpert.
And we're the hosts of the brand new podcast, Unapologetically Fab.
Get ready to join us on an amazing and real journey as we dive into life after 40 and own it.
We're all about changing the narrative, leaning into who you are, and living a life by your own design.
Join us as we embrace life unapologetically and redefine success.
This is Unapologetically Fab,
an Electricast production.
See you there.
Electricast. Electricast.